to south, which is very important. Okay, I believe almost all of the participants of our first panel have gathered today, so Alexei Rabchin will be moderating the first panel. So, we're up to the agenda, and your task is also to keep within the timing. The more active we'll have a conversation at the panel, then the more active will be the horizontal communication. So you have the floor. So, thank you, dear colleagues.
We will switch to English. This is, I guess, the only panel that we will have in English, so please use your headphone, like, if you need. And, like, honestly, Sam, I'm really proud of moderating 4 Minister of Environment in one panel. So this is really great for me. It was already mentioned that we have Ruslan Strelets, Yulian Popov, who is the Minister of Environment and Water Resources of Bulgaria, who will be with us, I guess, on the screen. We have Mircea Fechet here with us, so the Minister of Environment, Water Resources and the Forests, like in Romania. Thank you for being with us. And Erdanica Rodica Erdanov, Minister from Moldova. Thank you for being here. And Ruslan, thank you. Like, honestly, I'm seeing the environmental ministers in Kyiv as often as the ministers of foreign affairs and defense ministers, like, really. And, like, for a country in war, I guess it's a great and tremendous result, and honestly, a really big signal from the European Union about the priorities of a post-war recovery. So this is like, we need to be able to read these signals. And I guess it won't be a hard panel for my panelists, because for the Ukrainian and Moldovan colleagues, it's an opportunity to tell about those tremendous efforts that they did last year and their plans on this year on EU integration. And for our colleagues from the European Union, it's an opportunity to share an experience of 50 years ago, how you integrated to Europe. This is our dream and aspiration, with the focus, I guess, on the last 5 years of a Green Deal. Because the Green Deal implementation is something that you won't read in the articles, and you need to hear about this experience. So please, your best experience and more precious, like what we shouldn't do, like to avoid some of mistakes. So I guess we will start from Ruslan, and like to kick this scene. You already mentioned, and it was well known, that Ukraine received a +1 mark in EU integration framework assessment. So we had 1 out of 5 last year, but like your team was able to do it like 2 out of 5, which is during the war like a really great result. Could you please tell us about your plan on this year, how we will progress in environmental and climate legislation?
Thank you, Alexei. First of all, dear distinguished guests, dear ministers, Mircea, Yulian, Rodica, for 2 years, our country has been going through the full-scale armed aggression of the Russian Federation. But even despite the destruction and losses, we never forget about our aspiration to become a full member of European Union. We feel part of the European family, share common values, and work toward the greener, innovative, and resilient Europe. First of all, I'd like to say that one of the most important issues for us, as one of the challenges, was self-screening. We thought how to make the cross-sectoral coordination of all our issues, all our reforms and others. We aim to integrate as quickly as possible, even managing to hack the EU integration process by organizing a self-screening last year. Even through it, it is not an official requirement. I know our Moldovan friends did the same. This allowed us to carry out systematic work on adopting all EU legislation. I bet my deputies and colleagues from the ministry grumbled on me for pushing hard on this self-screening, which was an additional obligation for them. It was really a really difficult challenge, but I really appreciate all NGOs, all our friends, all experts who was with us, who support us in this not easy but very important challenge. According to the results of the self-screening, it became clear that our green chapter is among the 5 largest of terms of the number of EU legal acts to be implemented. It includes almost 200 directives and regulations. And I don't see a problem to implement in the environmental EU keys where the ministry is leading the process. We have great support from the parliamentary committee, including the head of committee, Oleg Bondarenko, and the members of our committee, and we will need to make great job in nearest future. I'll say some words about Ukraine facility. Ukraine facility is a very important instrument. Tomorrow, we are waiting an important vote in the EU Council, the adoption of the Ukraine facility. Ukraine facility is 50 billions 4-year plan allocated for reforms. The lion's share of this 50 billion plan will go toward budgetary support, pensions, teachers' salaries, and recovery. It's not a pre-accession plan and not our EU integration map. It's about several important reforms that we agreed upon together with the EU Commission to convey EU taxpayers that Ukraine is serious about its green commitment. The first reform is prevention, reduction and control of industrial pollution. We will implement 75th European Directive on industrial emission and promise to adopt the law this year. We promised to adopt the law, dear members of parliament, this year. I hope that we will have this law because it's really important for Ukraine and for Ukrainian European integration process. The second reform is a climate policy. We are committed to implementing the Ukrainian climate law, which should create a framework of the international climate policy. In 2025, our next nationally determined contribution, NDC of Ukraine, will be more ambitious than the current one. Reform 3, it's market mechanism of carbon pricing. Adoption of the action plan of the establishment of the national greenhouse gas emission trading system by 2025, resumption of the compulsory MRV system by 2025. The fourth, restoration and conservation of natural reserves. Entry into force of the legislation on reduction, deforestation and forest degradation by 2026. And the last but not least, increased circular economy. Together with Ministry of Economy of Ukraine, we will work on the adoption of the strategy of implementing the principle of a circular economy and the action plan in 2025. Adoption of the National Waste Management Plan until 2033 in 2024. So we are waiting for the decision in Brussels to finalize the list and vote it in Cabinet. I'd like to thank all the stakeholders who provide their comments and feedback to this plan for future adoption. This is very briefly. I will give the floor to my colleagues and to you. I hope that it's absolutely understandable our speed and understandable that we need to do our best and we want to do our best. We want to implement everything because in my opinion, European integration and all this reform, it's not just the papers, it's not just the laws and secondary legislation. European integration is a new rules and condition which all Ukrainians will feel, not only understand, will feel in future when they come to the streets, when they come to their friends and come to their kids, because all what we do, it's for integrate European principles and rules for our everyday life. Thank you.
Dear Ruslan, thank you for your intervention and also for being precisely at time. And we have a very, very angry presenter who said that he will punish me if we will not be stick on time. So thank you for helping me to keep the moderation. Dear Mircea, like the floor is yours, and I will tell you a secret. So, like Ukrainian government task, the ministries and the Euro integration team to study on all the last time accession countries' experience on EU integration. So there are people here who will be literally writing what you are saying, and maybe you can share some secret for them to make their life easier. Like how successfully to integrate your country to European Union, like with what we already understand, one of the most hardest acquis. Please.
Okay. Your Excellencies, dear ministers, ladies and gentlemen, first let me express my gratitude for the invitation to come here to this event. I can honestly say that I participated to 100% of the United for Nature events because I had the chance and the opportunity to be here in Kiev in October last year. And this happened because as well as it happened in my first week in the office, when one of the first environmental ministers I called was Minister Strilets, because as I discussed to my colleagues, the close relations that we need to have with Ukraine and with all the countries around Romania are really important, and they were important back then, and they are really important today. I will not start without condemning in the strongest term the Russians' aggression here in Ukraine, and also expressing the full support for the Ukrainian population. I would also say, even though I know I have little time and so many things to address, that Romania is deeply engaged in all the international efforts to make Russia accountable for the things that it's doing. If we talk about the environmental declaration that we talked about at COP28, if we talk about the Council decision for sanctioning Russia, I think that the most important thing that happened in the past is that we open the negotiation for Ukraine and for the Republic of Moldova to join the EU. And the reason I'm saying this is that looking at the things that happened in Romania after the revolution, I can say that the most important thing that happened to Romania is joining the EU. Not only for the European policies that we adopted, but also for the strong financial support. Because I'm not only a minister, I'm also a member of the parliament, and every time I go back home or I visit a village in Bacău County, it's where I come from, I see always this big sign that says that this school, this hospital, this building is being made or is being built by European money. And when you have access to resources, it's way, way easier to talk about climate change, and we talk about solving the planet's problem. So, just to give you some numbers, Romania will benefit more than 80 billion euros in the next financial framework. This means that we will finance the common agriculture policy, the structural funds. These are money also from the National Recovery and Resilience Plan, but it's a lot of money, and all those money will be translated in a better life for our citizens. The Social Climate Fund, another 6 billion euro The Just Transition found another 2.5 million euros, way more money than we ever imagined. And I'm saying that I'm sure that after some time, Ukraine will say the same thing, that joining the EU was the most important thing that happening. Of course, that when we talk about European accession, one of the most challenging subjects that we need to address is the environmental chapter, because there is so much legislation, there is so much work to be done, and there are so much money to spend. If we talk about waste management, if we talk about used water, if we talk about greenhouse gas emissions or any kind of discussions, we talk about access to money. And this is why the first thing that I would say that I could advise you is to use wisely the pre-accession money, the pre-accession funds, because you need to close as many environmental problems as possible. In Romania, by example, we had so many problems from the former communist industry, and today we still haven't been able to resolve all those problems. I would also say that you will negotiate carefully the transition plans, because it's so easy to say we'll do this in 5 years, we'll do that in 10 years, but when it goes to finding the resources and when it goes to finding the companies to work, even if you have the money, sometimes it's quite hard to do it. So I'm hoping that you will negotiate really carefully, and also to take into consideration the national and the local specification of your country. Because sometimes you can say that you'll just translate into Ukrainian all the European legislation. You take the directives, you take all the hundreds of legislative pieces and just apply them into Ukraine. But we found out that the same legislation is being differently understood and it's being differently applied in Romania than it is in Germany and in Spain, because you have two totally different contexts, you have two totally different ways of understanding what we should do. And I care a lot about about the environmental adaptation of the legislation. I would also like to address that you will also have to fight a lot of fake news. The people who are opposing joining European Union, and there are so many opponents in every country, they will say that the European Union, they want to shut down your traditions, they want to shut down all the national good things that are happening, which it's completely wrong. It's fake news, but you'll have to fight it. You have to speak loud, and you have to have a good communication with the people, explaining them that when we talk about European Union, we talk about a better environment for everybody, we talk about a cleaner air, we talk about a better way to manage our resources and better legislation. I would also tell you that you will use all the reconstruction facilities and all the financial support that you'll get to rebuild Ukraine using environmentally friendly technologies. When designing the buildings, when choosing the materials you will use, there's this great opportunity now to use the best and the most ecological technologies that would not only mean lower cost for operating, but also a better life for the people. I would also tell you to watch very carefully the places that are really valuable for biodiversity, because Ukraine, as well as Romania, has one of the Europe's most oldest forests. They have one of the Europe's most wonderful biodiversity complex places. So when you will design and when you'll rebuild everything that needs to rebuild, please take into account these areas, because we made the mistake, because we were in such a hurry, and we designated those areas from our offices in Bucharest. And the mayors today, they are still calling us, and they're saying that they have a natural protected area in the middle of their city. How can this possible? Because this is what happens when you do the job that you need to do on the ground, that when you do it from your Bucharest office. I would also tell you that there will be such a competition for land. If we talk about agriculture, if we talk about renewable energy, if we talk about protected areas, there will be a competition for land, and the land use should be well integrated and really well planned to avoid any kind of conflict between the government, the local communities, the NGOs, and the population. And also, another thing that I'd like to address is the way you talk to the public, the way you choose to talk to the people, to communicate with them, because there's such a high interest in all the environmental themes, not only for the young generation, but especially for them. If you talk about nature, if you talk about air pollution, if you talk about waste management, if you talk about the forest management, if you talk about climate change and biodiversity, it's on every people's agenda, and it will be even more. So I think it's really important how you talk to them. It's really important how you open the public access to any kind of environmental info. So in conclusion, I'd say that you are not only fighting for your integrity and for your independence and for your sovereignty. Now you have this added effort to align to the EU legislation, which it's not easy, but it will definitely be in the benefit of the Ukrainian people and in the benefit of the European Union people. So, again, we will stand by you as long as it takes, not only as a political message that I am addressing here, and I know how important it is to be physically present, to shake hands and to look into the people's eyes. But I'd like to tell you in the name of the Romanian government that if we need to talk about reforming institutions or changing legislation or training the people with our colleagues that went through this process, we are by your side as long as it takes, and of course that we understand completely that you are not only defending your citizens, but you're defending the values that we all stand for democracy and human rights and freedom. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I saw a lot of people making notes. I also did my notes.
I can just hand them.
Please, it will help us here definitely for fighting fake news and many others. Yeah, and let's shift to our Bulgarian colleague. Let's put him on the screen. Julian, we see you. We see you. Happy to have you with us and happy to see you. We met each other in Dubai at COP and had a really great and productive discussion. So, I bet you have lots of things to add to your Romanian colleague about the experience, about the messages of support that you are able to share, and about the bilateral cooperation you have with Ukraine. Please, the floor is yours. 5 minutes, please.
Thank you. And first of all, apologies that I can't be with you. I wanted very much to come to Kiev, but there is a clash of commitments, and the Greek Minister of Environment is here waiting downstairs for me, and he is sending you greetings to all and supporting our mission. So thank you for the invitation. It's a great honor for me to be again part of the discussions and debates of the environmental protection of Ukraine. As Mircea said, this is not just a fight for Ukrainian nature. This is fight for European integrity, for integrity and the well-being of European people and European nature. We're honored to be also involved as co-leaders together with our Finnish and German colleagues in the peace formula 8-point of environment security. And I see part of this work that we are trying to do is engaging the international community into the environmental cause of Ukraine. I have to say that, Bulgarian accession to the European Union and Romanian as well has been a difficult road. We were lucky that there was a political decision somehow to go forward. I think there is this momentum for Ukraine, and that's very good. At the same time, it is a difficult road, and I'm very glad that the United for Nature, United for Justice agenda is so strong, because the environmental agenda is actually exceptionally important for the European Union. And it is an agenda that all European countries, not only newcomers, find difficult. It is not a coincidence that probably the largest number of national infringement procedures are in the field of environment. And it's not just Bulgaria. There are countries with more kind of infringement procedures and difficulties meeting environmental targets across the European Union. So this puts Ukraine in a very special situation, because really Ukraine not only in incredibly difficult situation of the Russian invasion is focusing so strongly on its natural environment, but it is showing how environment has to have a very kind of a strong priority in the political agenda. And I would say that Ukraine is doing everything possible in that direction. And I would encourage the Ukrainian government to continue this line. And of course, we are here to help, not just directly and bilaterally, but bringing together the European international community and highlighting the exceptional effort and also clarity of environmental targets. in our accession, of course, probably the most kind of difficult things have been rule of law. I mean, we continue to have problems with the European Union in that direction, but it's a very, very important area. In our government finally managed to make some major steps in fixing some constitutional changes, some rules related to prosecution and so on. And the second thing is transparency. I have to say that with modern technologies and with the incredible focus on IT technologies in Ukraine not only is approaching the European standards, but I think in some cases is going much, much beyond European standards. And one of the things in terms of transparency and clarity of data is one of my favorite and so very sad, but huge achievement of Ukraine of costing the environmental damage in an ongoing way, but also with a massive public participation. I mean, this is the Ikuza Groza application and post-service. We are also very much focused naturally on the future of the Black Sea, and I think we have to work together with Ukraine on the future of the Black Sea, a sea which is very often ignored, but it's very, very interesting, very important, with huge risks for the environment, but also with huge future, both in terms of biodiversity, security, and economy. So there is a lot of work ahead of us, and I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to do that together with such fantastic community, and now I could also say close friends. So again, apologies that I can't be in person there, and my heart is with you and the future of the Ukrainian victory, which I firmly believe in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Minister, for raising such an important topic, and like all the important common topics, you know, Black Sea and many others. It's really vital for us, and unfortunately we don't have time to touch upon everything. So maybe third conference when it may be a bit warmer here in Ukraine. Yeah, like let's gather. You will have an opportunity definitely to come. And like going to our Moldovan colleagues, like first of all, I bet that everybody is really appreciated that like we are walking this European integration pathway together. So we are not alone, and we are sharing a lot of experience. But I bet that not a lot of people understand the importance of us synchronizing our policies and action in order, for the successful assessment by the European Commission, because like we are in the same boat, and we will be assessed, with the same criteria. So I would really encourage people to listen carefully, which our Moldovan colleague will tell, because this is the same pathway that will be going together. Please, what messages you brought for us?
Thanks a lot first of all for inviting us to participate in this meeting, and it's a great honor to be here second time, because I also participated last autumn in the same event, and we had the opportunity to discuss at that moment the necessity of recognizing the ecocide as an international crime, and how the loss and damages or the war on the environment could be calculated and should be calculated. Also, at that moment, we discussed about the recovery of Ukraine, and I am pledged to that the recovery should be green. Green, because first of all, this will be more sustainable recovery, and the green recovery means the ensuring the human rights to clean air, water, and soil, not only for current generation, but also for the future generation, as Mircea mentioned. So this is indeed as an important event, and it's also a very important intention which Ukraine showed to all the Europeans and neighbors countries. So indeed, it's very useful for us to participate in this exercise of being part of the European Union together with Ukraine and have the strong partners as Romania and Bulgaria. Not only because we are neighbors, not only because we had the common topic as Black Sea, which was mentioned a little bit above, but also because we have same technical, industrial history. So you should understand that it's not easy for us to transpose all the European directives and all the European recommendations, keeping or having still a Soviet system of industry. This is quite crucial for us to understand the mistakes, the steps, and the way how other countries implemented this, and not to repeat because we don't have the luxury of time. And additional to our historical in the industry, we also have the consequences of the war. And we need to understand that we, Moldova, and I'm quite sure that also Romania, we feel these consequences. And we need also to work together on evaluating the damages because we are sharing the common ecosystems. We need to understand how to evaluate all the damages. We need to understand together and to act together how to recover all the ecosystem. But the most important is how to share the data, because this is very important to take the correct decisions. And the decisions should be based not only on the current situation, but also on the scientific data and also to find the best alternatives. And in this regard, it's very important to have correct the environmental impact assessment. And we have already experience with colleagues from Romania, from Ukraine, on how to implement the environmental impact assessment, how to share the information, how to decide on alternatives, and to take the best decisions. This is a nice examples, and these are examples which we need to promote to the people and also to explain to the people why it is necessary to work together. Indeed, the transposition of 800 directives on environmental issue for the next 5 years, it's a huge amount. And here we need to have the political support and strong political support. But additional to the political support, we need to understand that the implementation of all the transposition directive is also crucial. And almost all of you understand that the local authorities, mayors, local business and central business is a crucial partner in all this process. And additional to the paperwork which we are doing in our agencies, ministries, we also need to work with the people. And I totally agree with Mircea. We need correctly to pass the information. We need correctly to discuss with the people. We need to have all the authorities, our alliance. But more than this, we need to explain them that the environment is not an additional task for them. Environment is a cross-cutting activities. This should go together with the restoration or rebuilding of the schools, kindergartens, roads, modernizing the business, and all activities should be done through the environmental standards, should be done through the environmental criteria, and it's in this regard, it's very important to have the taxonomy, because as conditions for loans offered to the business, and all the environmental criteria should be established from the beginning in the conditions for the offering such kind of loans. And more than this, also to reorganize, to rethink to all the business activities. And it will be more easy. And it's very important for us to have this communication with our neighbors, because first of all, we are taking lessons. Second, with Ukrainians, and here I would like also to bring with a big gratitude for the fact that we had this dialogue. For us, it indeed is very easy to communicate, to share our experience, and also to discuss our regional approach. For example, the climate change. It is a very big and indeed very important topic which we need to discuss. But additional to the fact that we're discussing about how to diminish and how to apply all the measures for adaptation or for mitigation, but we need to also to act concretely. For example, the ETS. How we will solve the issue of ETS? Do we plan to go with at the regional level, or each country will have the separate ETS? This is a topic which we need to discuss together. This is a topic which we need to take a lot of criteria in consideration, and we need to come with the clear decision of the countries and to present this decision to the European Union. And this is one of the issues which we need to correctly negotiate. And here we need to have all our partners clear understanding what we will do, how we will do. So we have a lot of topics for discussion. For example, Ukrainian already succeed to reorganize the forest agency and infrastructure. We only will start in this year to reorganize the forest service. And this is a really huge issues for discussing, because all of us understanding that we need to take all the process of cutting woods from the state activity. State should only be the authority which will monitor, will control, but will not do the technical work. And here we need to understand how to reorganize the system, how to keep the activities ongoing, because this is a business issue, but in the same time how to protect the forest and how to keep the forest, to help the forest to be more quickly and more sustainable development. Also regarding the reform, it's very important to have strong, transparent institutions, because all the directives, all the legislation should be implemented by authorities, by agencies. And the agencies should understand very well how to do this, how correctly to do, how to speed the process. And the reform is important, and indeed in the both report from the commissions, the reform of environmental institutions is underlined as a crucial element. And we need to understand how correctly to work on this reform, because the colleagues from the agencies, they will cooperate, and they should have the same understanding of the process. So indeed, it's very important to continue our dialogue. It's very important to understand how to do the transposition, how to do the screening, because Ukraine already succeeded to done the first step on the screening. We only starting to do the deep screening on all the directives, and we realize that we need strong capacity. We need to understand how to do this, and here the partners, the colleagues, the neighbors are the most strongest elements of such kind of success. So my final conclusions will be that we need to continue our dialogues. We need to fight for environment. We need to have politicians. We need to have local authorities, business, science, NGOs as our partners, because otherwise it will not be possible to succeed such ambitions and in a short time. And for sure, we need to be very clear in our communication to the public. And as a last remark, I'm quite sure that it's not easy work. And nobody will say that this is an easy work. But this is a challenge which we need to take and to understand that this is a way to changing our current situation. It's a way to modernize our life, and it's a way to make our life more sustainable for current generation and for future generation. So let's be united, let's have the nature as our partner, and let's fight for the nature. Thank you for all your support.
Dear colleagues, as I told you, for me it was like a big honor to moderate such a distinguished panel, and it was like one of the easiest to moderate because our colleagues touch upon like every sphere of the environment. I had like some questions to prepare about like climate, finance, business. They touch upon everything, and don't need to do any additional rounds because we heard everything. You know, starting from biodiversity, working with the local authorities, try to find your business community in like be able to operate in a new condition, and of course fighting with the fake news, which Ukraine is able to do a lot. So like thank you, and I would like one more time to ask you to congratulate our speakers and thanking them for the fruitful discussion. Thank you very much. Are we good?